A smug tourist stepped forward, convinced he could shatter the unyielding composure of a royal guard. A small splash of water, and suddenly, the majestic horse, calm as stone moments before, reared up in panic. The crowd held its breath, phones raised, but no one expected this moment to spark a disaster where the line between humor and common sense would vanish completely. Jackson Rivers, a 26-year-old self-proclaimed content king, strutted through the gates of Buckingham Palace like he owned the place. His neon green pants glowed obnoxiously under the morning sun, and his t-shirt, emblazoned with Content King in bold black letters, made sure no one missed who he thought he was. His mission? Create a viral moment. His method? Push boundaries, no matter how absurd. The palace grounds buzzed with activity. Tourists were everywhere, shuffling to get the perfect selfie with the stoic Queen's Guard. The guards stood as motionless as statues, their iconic red coats and tall bearskin hats making them the ultimate symbol of royal discipline. Beside each guard stood a majestic black horse, calm and unbothered, embodying the same unwavering focus as their riders. For Jackson, it was a golden opportunity. He turned to his cameraman, Kyle, who was struggling to keep up. "Dude, this is going to be legendary," Jackson said, with a grin that teetered between confident and reckless. Kyle gave him a cautious look, clutching the camera like it might shield him from whatever disaster was about to unfold. Jackson scanned the crowd, his mind already racing. Phones were out, lenses pointed, and murmurs rippled as tourists noticed his loud presence. He grabbed an empty water bottle from his bag and made a beeline for the nearest fountain, filling it with ice-cold water. His excitement bubbled over as he strutted back toward the guards. "All right, folks," Jackson called out, making sure his voice carried. "Today, we're going to test just how unshakable these royal dudes really are." The crowd turned toward him, a mix of curiosity and concern on their faces. Some even chuckled, though their amusement carried an edge of nervous anticipation. Jackson's theatrics had begun. He walked straight up to the guard nearest him, a towering man in his early 40s with a jawline carved from granite. The guard's expression remained unyielding, his focus fixed ahead. The horse beside him, equally composed, flicked its tail lazily, unaware of the brewing chaos. With a dramatic flourish, Jackson raised the water bottle. "Time to break the British poker face," he declared, his voice dripping with mock bravado. And then, in one swift motion, he flung the icy water directly into the horse's face. The reaction was instant. The horse reared back, letting out a sharp, startled neigh that shattered the calm. Its hooves struck the air as the crowd erupted into gasps and shouts. Phones whipped up faster than umbrellas in a sudden downpour, recording every second. The guard didn't move at first, his grip on the reins tightening as he steadied the panicked horse. His face, however, betrayed the faintest flicker of tension, a tightening of his jaw, a narrowing of his steely eyes. The air grew thick with an unspoken sense of something's about to go down. "Dude, it's just water," Jackson called out, his voice carrying a fake innocence that didn't fool anyone. "Relax. Where's the famous British humor?" The crowd wasn't buying it. A voice yelled, "That's not funny," while another added, "You're an idiot." Even Kyle took a step back, his camera still rolling, but his expression full of regret for ever agreeing to this stunt. Jackson, however, remained unfazed, feeding off the attention. But the momentary rush of adrenaline was about to be replaced by something much less enjoyable. The guard shifted ever so slightly, his movements deliberate, his piercing gaze locking onto Jackson like a hawk sighting its prey. The crowd held its breath, and Jackson's grin faltered, if only for a second. He had no idea that his funny little prank had just set the stage for a lesson he would never forget. The second that icy splash hit the horse, all hell broke loose. The animal reared up, its hooves slicing through the air like a scene straight out of a medieval battle. The guard, calm as ever, held tight to the reins, his entire body tensing as he tried to steady the panicked beast. Meanwhile, the crowd? Total chaos, gasps, screams, and the unmistakable sound of someone yelling, "Call the police!" Phones were shooting videos from every angle, and I swear I saw one lady clutching her pearls like she was witnessing the end of the world. I turned to the camera, forcing a grin. "Whoa, guys, guess this horse isn't a fan of ice water. Chill, it's just a prank." My laugh came out weak, more like a squeak than the confident tone I was aiming for. The guard, though? He didn't even flinch. With one smooth motion, he brought the horse under control, his movements precise and unhurried, like this was just another day at the office. But then he did something that sent a shiver down my spine. He dismounted. Let me paint this picture for you. This guy was huge, like could probably wrestle a grizzly bear and win. Huge. His boots hit the ground with a thud that echoed through the stunned silence of the crowd. He didn't say a word. Just turned toward me, his expression cold enough to freeze fire, and started walking. Slow, deliberate, and scary as hell. Hey man, I stammered, stepping back. My usual bravado evaporated faster than a puddle in the desert. It's all for content, you know, just a harmless joke. I shot a nervous glance at Kyle, who was inching away with the camera like he wanted no part of what was about to happen. The guard stopped inches from my face, towering over me like a skyscraper built entirely out of quiet fury. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and steady, but it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken threats. "Do you think this is funny?" That's when I realized two things. One, this guy wasn't joking. Two, I was in serious trouble. I laughed nervously, holding up my hands in mock surrender. "Hey, big guy, no need to get all worked up. It's just a little water. The horse is fine, right? Look, he's chill now." Spoiler, the horse was not chill. Its nostrils flared, and it stomped the ground like it was considering taking me out itself. The guard didn't respond. Instead, he grabbed the front of my neon green shirt and hauled me forward with zero effort, like I weighed less than a bag of chips. The crowd let out a collective gasp, and then, as if on cue, someone started clapping. It was like watching a live-action karma reel. "Let me help you get the attention you so clearly crave," the guard said, his tone as sharp as the edge of a sword. Before I could even process what he meant, he started dragging me toward the fountain. "Whoa, dude, let's talk about this," I yelped, trying to wiggle free. "I'll delete the video, I swear. No harm, no foul, right?" The crowd parted like the Red Sea as he marched me straight to the fountain. And then, without any ceremony, he shoved me in. Cold. That's the first thing I felt. Ice-cold water soaking me from head to toe. My neon green pants clung to my legs like wet seaweed, and my shirt, once a beacon of my Content King brand, was now a soggy mess. I scrambled to my feet, sputtering and shivering. The crowd? Oh, they were loving it. Cheers, laughter, and a chorus of people shouting things like, "Serves him right," and "Best day ever." Even Kyle, traitor that he was, couldn't hide his grin as he filmed my humiliation. I pointed a dripping finger at the guard. "You can't just, this is assault, I'll have you fired." But my grand declaration was drowned out by a fresh wave of laughter. That's when I heard the unmistakable sound of a police siren. Great, just what I needed. Two officers strode onto the scene, their faces a mix of professionalism and thinly veiled amusement. One of them, a stocky guy with a badge that read Miller, stepped forward. "What's going on here?" he asked, his tone calm but firm. Before I could launch into my side of the story, half the crowd started talking at once, eagerly recounting my stunt. Words like disrespectful, reckless, and deserved it floated around like confetti. Officer Miller raised an eyebrow at me. "So, let me get this straight. You thought it was a good idea to splash water on a Royal Guard's horse? For fun?" It wasn't like that," I stammered, trying to shake off the water and salvage what little dignity I had left. "It was a social experiment. You know, testing reactions." The guard, now back beside his horse, shot me a glare so intense I swear I felt my soul leave my body. "Social experiment or not, you endangered the animal and caused a public disturbance." As the officers took notes and the crowd continued to record, I realized this wasn't just a bad day. It was a full-blown disaster. But the worst part? The lesson I was about to learn hadn't even started yet. Dot. The moment the cuffs snapped on Jackson's wrists, he knew he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. Sergeant Mitchell, all business and no patience, listed the charges: public disturbance, animal endangerment, and incitement. Jackson tried to explain, stumbling over, it was just a prank, but Mitchell wasn't biting. Save it for the judge, he replied, marching Jackson to the squad car as bystanders recorded every humiliating second. At the precinct, reality hit hard. Jackson, drenched and miserable, sat in a cold interrogation room waiting for his lawyer, who arrived looking as unimpressed as possible. "What were you thinking?" she demanded, shoving a pile of documents in front of him. He muttered weakly, "Content," but her sharp tone cut him off. "This content could destroy your career and leave you with a criminal record." The damage was already done. Social media exploded with videos of his stunt, racking up millions of views and just as many hate-filled comments. "This guy deserves to be banned," read one. "Unsubscribed," declared another. Jackson's sponsors dropped him within hours, citing misalignment with brand values. Even his most loyal fans turned their backs, his subscriber count plummeting like a stone. Then came the final blow, an official letter from the British government banning him from the UK indefinitely. Sitting alone in his hotel room, Jackson stared at his phone, scrolling through the wreckage of his reputation. His neon green pants lay in a wet heap in the corner, a sad reminder of what he'd lost. The content king had become a global punchline, learning the hard way that sometimes a joke isn't just a joke, it's a career-ending mistake. I'd have apologized right away. Pranks should never harm or disrespect. Have you or someone you know faced similar backlash? Share your thoughts and drop a like. This story is a reminder to act responsibly and use influence for good. Your opinion matters.